Hello everybody and welcome to the final two rounds of the FIA GT3 European Championship. We're at Zolder in Belgium, but the season has been a long and action-packed one, starting off at Silverstone in April. Pole position in the first race for the Argo Racing Lamborghini Gallardo. Fortunately, that advantage was spun away early on. The Tony Seiler Corvette, very, very quick indeed through the field. Ultimately, it was going to be a battle between that bright yellow Corvette and the Graf Racing car behind it. And sad for the Graf guys, well, that didn't look good. Bits of engine coming out the back of the exhaust pipes, never a good day. In the second race, pole position for Tony Seiler Racing, Porsche and Corvette battling it out. And it was clever pit strategy that gave the win to Callaway Competition. Hornendal and Kalvitz taking the second victory. The track speed Porsche had taken the first one. Moving on to our second pair of races at Brno, and what a weekend this was. Problems down the field in the wet, dry conditions. Once again, Graf Racing showing their speed. But really, it was a battle to know what tyres to be on. Roll of the dice here. The good news for the 16 Graf Racing Corvette, their car was just as good in the dry as it had been in the wet. 2 race victories in the Czech Republic for Parisi and Lamport. Harama and Sunshine, thank goodness for that. Pole position in the first of the 2 races for Argo Racing once again in the Lamborghini. Albert von Turn on Taxis claiming pole position for race 1. But the defining point of the race, with just under 9 minutes to go, when the Lamborghini was spun out, giving a first race victory of the season for the Audi R8 LMS of Team Rosberg. Race number 2, Margot Holzer on pole for the Porsche of Pro Speed, chased hard by Claudia Hürtgen in the Need for Speed BMW. The important pass made in the first corner, and a first race victory of the season for a Dunlop shod car, the first for BMW, and the first time in the 5 years of the GT3 European Championship that a female had stood on the top step of the podium. To race number 7 at the super facilities of Ricard, and a very nasty incident entering the famous Mistral back straight. The Rosberg Audi involved along with the Porsche and the Ferrari. Safety car required, and when we went back racing, once again the BMW looking very quick indeed. However, at the end of the day, it would be Callaway Competition in the Corvette who took the victory in race number 1. And although it was another pole position for Marco Holzer in race number 2, they couldn't convert that into a race. And at the end of the weekend, it was a delightful double for the Callaway Competition boys, and they would move to the head of the championship. To the Algarve, and another great race day on a fabulous circuit. The Hexus Racing Aston Martin in the thick of the action, as it has been all season. Turn 1, the place where most of the action happened. The Callaway Corvette going into the lead in race number 1 ahead of the Pro Speed Porsche. But it came down to just a tiny bit late out of the pit lane for the leading Corvette, around the outside for the 61 Porsche. A lead they would not relinquish, and they would take race number 1. Their first of the season. In race number 2, it was the Phoenix Racing Audi R8 LMS that was on pole position and led the cars round at the end of the formation lap. Mark VDS Ford sharing the front row, and everybody else was second. In the hairpin, leading Ford tipped out of the race. Another problem for the Graf Racing Corvette that ended up with a right rear puncture. And then it was all down to the championship leaders, Hornendal and Kielewicz, fighting their way to second, and then ultimately making the pass at the downhill hairpin at turn number 6 to take the victory and win the Drivers' Championship. The team's crown is still up for grabs though, and 3 teams are in the hunt as we head to the last 2 hours of racing in the GT3 European Championship final 2 rounds. Zolder then with 2.5 miles or 4 kilometres if you prefer for the last couple of races of the season. And let's get straight down to the head of the grid and Hayley Coxon.
Eric, congratulations on your first pole of the season and at your home track as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my pole, it's Matthias Pohl's, but I'm really happy for the team, for Mike VDS and all the VDS team, because it's in Belgium, in a pole position, it's nice weather, so I hope for a good race. I mean, we did the same thing that we did last year, we switched qualifying sessions, so I put Matthias with the small boys and I was with the big boys, so I think it's going to be interesting, because for the second stint, I mean, I will be with all the big boys chasing me, so I think I will try to do a good race and to finish on the podium.
I wish you luck. Thank you.
It's an interesting qualifying session yesterday that was interrupted by a very nasty looking incident between Gregoire Demoustier in the Team Rosberg Audi and Patrick Söderland in the Need for Speed by Schubert Motorsport BMW. Left a bit of a scramble in the last 9.5 minutes for pole position, which was eventually claimed by the Mark VDS Racing team. And there is Stefan Lemeray in second position on the grid in the number 3 Audi R8 LMS. Only 1 win for the Audi this year, taken by Team Rosberg at Brno. Second row is BMW, is Porsche and Porsche with Mühlner Motorsport and Pro Speed competition. And there is that second row. Mühlner closer to us with Jerome Terry in the old Belgian crew. His teammate Armand Famal will take the start for the second race. On-board camera in the number 2 Hexis Aston Martin, and that will be driven first in the first raid by Luc Payard, the Frenchman. Pro Speed Porsche there with Paul van Splunteren and Marco Holzer. Porsche's looking very good here yesterday. Ferrari's a little bit out of sorts. As we move on to the third row of the grid, and that will see our drivers' champions, the number 101 Callaway Competition Corvette Z06, Daniel Kielwitz and Christian Hornedal. And alongside them should be the Need for Speed Schubert Motorsport BMW Z4, and there it is, looking absolutely pristine after that big shunt yesterday for Patrick Söderland, the Swedish pairing. His teammate is Edward Sandström. The whole of the front end of that car required rebuilding. The guys from Schubert Motorsport here into the wee small hours, burning the midnight oil and putting that car out on the grid and looking a little bit further back. I think there is a gap where the second Rosberg car should have been, just on the right hand side as we look down the grid. And here is confirmation of our starting grid. The Ford and Audi at the front, Eric de Donker, and then the Porsches. There is that rebuilt BMW with our championship winning pair as well. The first of the United Autosports cars in 8th position. Zaber Walter has taken the only BMW win this year. Going back through the grid. A lot of these guys mistimed their run yesterday and didn't really get a good run at it, so there's some big names at the back, and we should see some very interesting racing, particularly in the opening laps. Not very many places here to pass at Zolder. You've got to be very brave and also very decisive indeed. The 2 Ferraris, I'm afraid, at the back of the grid. So the cars are rolling here at Zolder. It's round number 11 of 12 of the GT3 European Championship. Conditions just about perfect. Early morning here though, so temperatures still fairly chilly. And the Michelin and Dunlop tyres will need to get up to temps quick. This is a very technical circuit, super quick in places. We have seen, and speaking to the drivers again this morning, absolutely necessary to use the curbs, particularly through the chicanes. 10 corners here, a couple of very, very slow chicanes, and then the fast runs down the front and back straights. Think of it as an elongated paper clip with a little bit of a kink in it, and you're not too far away from it here at Zolder. Hasn't changed too much over the years, this 2.5 mile circuit. Just about an hour's drive to the east of Brussels. Smashing part of the country. And the crowd has turned out in force this early Sunday morning to see some top class European GT racing. 1 hour's racing, pit lane open between 25 and 35 minutes into the race for a mandatory driver change. The United Autosports Michael Gouache and Mark Patterson car just going through there. Rolling starts behind the Nissan pace car. It's one of the two chicanes, the first of the two chicanes. Coming into that very quickly indeed through that left hand of the car's unbalanced, and it's very bumpy there. And you can see from the Corvette, the Callaway Corvette, just putting the power down there. It is chilly out there, and grip will be at a premium early on. We've all got our fingers crossed for the first corner, the first left-hander. Only two major left-handers on the circuit. The rest of the corners right-handed, predominantly a clockwise circuit here at Zolder. One or two leaves as autumn is just beginning to reach us here in this part of Northern Europe. The 77 car there, Need for Speed Racing, the Saba Walter and Claudia Herdgen car. Now we're getting the cars into their 2x2 formation. Paul Sitter on the right-hand side as we're watching will get the advantage of the shorter line into the first corner, but you've got to wonder if the Audi on our left might just be able to take advantage and take the more traditional racing line as the Nissan 370Z pulls into the pit lane. And it is the Ford on pole here who should be controlling this, and he is. Start the watch. The hour starts now and we're racing, and it's a great run down to the first corner by the Ford, who slots across into the middle of the circuit. Everybody else trying to make up positions. The Pro Speed Porsche having a big battle and going out a little bit wide. Looks like the Callaway Corvette makes up a position there, and that's one of the United cars. And I'm afraid to say I think that's the Zach Brown Matt Bell car. Yes, it is. And that car is stuck in the gravel trap. That's going nowhere, I'm afraid. What a shame. Coming down through Bianchi, the right-hander onto the back straight. This is where we had the accident in qualifying yesterday. And it's still Besh leading from Lemeray in second place. Then in the 12, the Mulder Motorsport, Jerome Terry, the first of the Porsches there. In fact, no, he's been overtaken there, just coming into the first chicane. And that's a great opening run by Christian Honedal. He's our champion, part of our champion driver pairing. The two Porsches then shuffle back down through the field as they come round to the last third of the lap. And look at Honedal in the lighter coloured Corvette there, third position, got right underneath the rear wing of the Rosberg Audi. Rosberg car looking round the outside, and defensive driving by Matthias Beckau. Paul Sitter coming through the Jackie Hicks chicane for the first time, and the Corvette gets a great run out of the right-hander onto the start-finish line. Ford, Audi, Corvette, Porsche in the top four. BMW just down in sixth position at the moment. Through the first left, which is the name of the corner. There's the links, first left. Oh, and that's United Autosports car still there as the position's been made up further down the field. That is the second Muller Motorsports car trying to go through, and the 12 has gone through on its teammates. Onto the back straight for lap number 2. The Audi just not able to get into a position to pass into this very quick chicane. You've got to cane the curbs there. And the leading pair just getting away for a moment as they head through the very quick sections in the back of the circuit. Impressive driving by Matthias Pech at the head of the field. Just the one pole position yesterday this season for the Ford. Corvette and Lamborghini with the lion's share of the Porsche, of the pole positions, 3 each before this weekend. Now, are the leading 3 just beginning to stretch away from Pro Speed and the 2 Muller Racing Porsches behind, which makes up positions 4, 5 and 6. Then it's the Soderlund BMW in 7th position. In 8th, Lapanainen in the Porsche, the second of the Pro Speed cars, as the United Autosports machine is pulled away by Toyota pickup on a very long strop line. 9th is the second of the United Autosports car, and that's Mark Patterson at the wheel of the 22, and making up the top 10 is the Belgian Auto Club Enzo Ide driven Audi, but the action is at the head of the field. Hard brake again in the left-right chicane. The 2 Muller Racing Porsches just having to give best early on to the Pro Speed card with Paul van Splunteren, who has taken a race victory this year at the Algarve last time out, qualifying yesterday in 31s and 32s for the front of the grid. Second qualifying session was a tad quicker than the first by about a second, so these guys are getting down to business very quickly indeed. 35s at the moment on full fuel load and a cold, slippery track. Good chat with the United Autosports guys this morning, and they were saying that they expected this to be a race of patience, having to plan your way through. As you can see, there's been no madcap banzai manoeuvres down the inside. The chicanes are the best place to pass. There's half a chance down the front straight into that first left-hander, but you've really got to get a fabulous exit from the Jackie Hicks chicane that leads on to the start-finish line. There is Paul van Splunteren in the almost ubiquitous Porsche and GT racing, effectively a GT3 Cup car, 1 or 2 little modifications to run here at the GT3 Championship. The car's performance balanced at the start of the season, of course. This is 10th and 11th places, and the championship in terms of teams is still open. The Drivers' Championship, well, we've got our winners, but second place is still open. Pro Speed have got half a chance of the Teams' Championship, as have Need for Speed by Schubert Motorsport. They would have to have something rather catastrophic happen to the Callaway competition Corvettes. Now here's a decent battle. 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th there. So we head back to the front of the field, and the Pro Speed Porsche making it 4 now, battling for the lead here at Zolder. First race of 2 this weekend for the GT3 European Championship. 2 Muller Motorsport cars just dropping away, maybe. Now here is the car that was in the gravel early on. This was the Matthew Bell driven machine. It's been recovered. Matt Bell, the Newcastle resident, brother of Bob Bell, Robert Bell, who has driven prototypes and GT cars to great effect. Twice a GT2 European champion in the Le Mans series, and his younger brother Matt just been confirmed for the British Championship next year, along with Michael Gouache, who's in the other car this weekend of United Autosports. Nice to see Audi back in the British Championship for a full season next year with that wonderful R8 LMS. Rather surprising to me that the car hasn't been slightly more successful this season, but it's battling at the front at the moment in the hands of Stefan Lemery. Just losing touch for a moment with the Mark VDS 4 GT of Matthias Bech. Looks to me as well, with the championship wrapped up, as though Christian Hundel is relieved perhaps of a little bit of pressure. No need to worry about grabbing precious points this weekend. They can drive for fun. Let's go down to Matt Bell, who's with Healy in the pit lane.
Matt, can you take us through what happened with Zach out there?
I just think he didn't get the best of starts. He was in first gear and had to jump up the second. He got swamped a bit at the start. Came into the first corner, obviously, with quite a few people around him. And I don't really know what happened. I think there was a little bit of contact and he ended up spinning and going off into the gravel. We just brought him in there to make sure there's no real damage on the car, clear it out of any gravel, and we're just going to go out and circulate and do some laps.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, Zach Brown, it was then, with the problem at the start of the race. My apologies. Both with the yellow helmets. There's how it stands after 9 minutes, 5 laps. Unsurprisingly, the fastest lap has gone to Matthias Bech last time around, 1:33.1. And Zach Brown, in the meantime, has just popped back out of the pits. He'll be laps down, of course, determined to get some miles under the wheels of that Audi. Well, Bech's putting on a great show at the head of the field, and all of a sudden he's cleared off, hasn't he? Pulled out 1.5 seconds on second place. Stefan Lemery, no mean peddler, and he improves his last lap time down to a 32.3. That's another half second taken out of Stefan Lemery, who has pulled out himself better part of a second on the third place Callaway racing car. Paul van Splunteren in fourth in the 61 Porsche. Might just be getting close enough to have a think about moving around in the wing mirrors of that Corvette. Down the field in 8th position, Petri Lapanainen, part of the Finnish pairing. He'll hand over to Marcus Paltala, often seen in a Ferrari, and at the moment they are chasing down the rebuilt BMW of Patrick Söderlund. Doesn't seem to be showing any ill effects from that hard contact with the Armco barrier. It's picking up a bit of leaf action on the front though. Now they're going to have to be a little bit careful about that. Temperatures, as we mentioned, relatively cool this morning. Cool enough for sweatshirts. It was definitely a t-shirt day yesterday, but you can see there quite a lot of leaves in the front air intakes of the cars. Interestingly, not so much the leading cars. Porsche there though, doing a decent job of leaf sweeping. Paul van Splunteren. Great win for Pro Speed out in the Algarve. Took the pole position, a couple of pole positions, one at Harama and one at Ricard for the Pro Speed team. And that's a little bit further down the field, 16th position for the Saint-Loc Phoenix Racing Audi. The number 6 car being driven by Jerome Demey. Graf Racing They've been in the hunt all year. The 16 car, driven in this first stint by Joachim Lambert. Just picking up a bit of action further down the field for 11th and 12th position there, with Mark Patterson in the Audi. Now this is a very, very early pit stop indeed, and this is not within the pit window. Oh, and that, I'm afraid, is not good news for Duncan Cameron Racing. The Ferrari in the garage and the Corvette is not getting out of there. You could see that before first gear was even taken by Marius Ritzke. And oh no. Just put it in neutral and wait for the toe. That's the back chicane. This is the Callaway Competition 100 car. Teammates to the Drivers' Champion. There's the leader. Let's have a word with his teammates. Haley is down with De Donker in the pits.
Eric Mateus couldn't have asked for a better start.
Yeah, no, Matthias does a fantastic job. He's leading, so he looks really good on TV. So pressure is coming up on me because I have to take the car in the lead. But I mean, it's a good sensation, and I mean, I'm missing this, so I look forward to a good finish race.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
It's almost 3 seconds the lead now that Matthias Bech has pulled out over Stefan Lemaire in second place into the second quarter of the race. Lemaire just dropping away gently into the clutches now of that Corvette. It's been a good lap for the Corvette this time around. He was a second back at the line. He's nowhere near that now. Duncan Cameron Racing, with Duncan Cameron taking the first stint. Oh, and a little bit of turning oversteer, the back end sliding around there for Christian Hundel. And we saw that yesterday, that these Corvettes are set up very, very nervously. The front end turns in well. Let's just watch him again through the faster corners. Just saw the driver working on the steering wheel. Obviously, Christian likes the car edgy. Dropped away again from the Rosberg car ahead of him. He's fine through the chicanes, and the Corvette rides the curbs very well indeed. Now, there's going to be no passing down here. You can see the green flag on the exit of the corner. European marshals dealing with the car in the gravel with local yellows only. Now, there's Hundal again. That's, well, brakes nicely in a straight line, turns in there, gets on the power. The big V8 doing its job. Oodles of torque through the back wheels. It's the first corner where he seemed to be having the problems. Just a little bit unsettled in the braking area for the Jackie chicane there as they come out to complete lap number 10. 8/10 this time. Now watch the Corvette turns in again. Now there's the battle for 4th position. Paul van Splunteren in the mainly blue and white car. The first of the two Porsches. Because that one's white and blue, isn't it? Slightly different shade in 5th place for the Milner Motorsport car. Jerome Thierry, just about see him there, right in the wheel tracks of Van Splunteren. Oh, and he's got a decent run there, just closes the gap a little bit. Now, there'll have to be a bit of defensive work, I think, here by the Pro Speed car, but he's saved rather there by the yellow flags for the Callaway Competition Corvette, which is being recovered. Just at the moment, it seems like Thierry has a slightly better Porsche underneath him, with Under 10 minutes now to the opening of the pit lane. Oh, look at this, you can barely see the Mulliner car. Has a look down the inside. That's a textbook manoeuvre here at Zolder. Can he get the car stopped? He can. Gets to the apex first. Nice clean overtaking manoeuvre. Smashing stuff. And racing room given by Paul van Splunderen. He knew, I think the game was up coming out the previous corner. Now, Thierry sprung from the trap that was Van Splunderen. Can he get away and chase down the leading three? As he went across the line, the gap was 3.3 seconds to the back of the Corvette, so we'll keep an eye on that. Rather frustratingly for Corvette fans, it seems that Hunedal just can't get on terms with Stefan Lemeray in the Audi. Here's the overtake again. Good run out of the previous right-hander. Bit of slipstreaming down the inside. Claims the apex. Thank you very much. New fourth position. Battle for second and third. Let's have a look at the gap as they come across the line. Last time around it was about 0.6 of a second. And you know, just by eye, I would say that that Porsche behind is gaining on them. Across the line they go to complete lap number 12. And the gap this time, 0.8 of a second, so there or thereabouts. Goodness me, that Audi looks very stable through the first corner. Now remember that Porsche was 3.3 seconds behind. He's taken almost half a second, just on 2.9 behind this battle for second now. The blue and white Mulliner Motorsport Porsche in fourth position will become a factor. Our leader, Matthias Pesch, pacing himself now. Did the fastest lap of the race on lap number 6, and he's eased back his pace just a wee bit, but only by a couple of 0.3. Now on board with the Aston Martin, number 2 of Luc Payard. You can see there the early morning sun making things just a tad difficult going through Canal Turn. Early part of the lap through Bianchi corner onto the back straight. That corner looks super quick, but it really tightens up and the road narrows on you as you come out of it. Now this is down the back straight. Big braking area coming up. Down 2, 3 gears, turn into the left. Curb, curb, power. Snatch a gear on the exit. Down the hill, and it is severely downhill there. Into the braking area for the second chicane. Curb and curb. Not quite so much on the exit. Flat out through this right-hander, just trying to tease the car through it. Hold the balance, not too much lock on there, so you're not scrubbing off too much speed. Into the braking area. Another deceptive corner that rather narrows on you on the exit. Very easy to be sucked in and take too much speed into some of these corners. Had a run around the track last night, and it's much more technical than it looks, this little track. And a very busy circuit through the X chicane, and big armfuls of opposite lock there. Luc Payard being kept busy, certainly. Down to the first corner. Turn in, feel for the grip. And again, you can see he's just struggling to get the front end. Turned in, this is Canal Turn. Long, long, long right-hander. And behind him, Jérôme Demey in the Saint-Loc Phoenix Racing Audi, leading a pack of cars, which includes the 17 Graf Racing Corvette. He's the bang over the chicane. Curves. Oh, you saw that there. Just how violent that is inside the car. Sequential gearbox, of course. So it's pull back to change up, push away from you to change down. Well, this is a battle that we're looking at 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th. 17th position being that Ford there. The number 14 Fisher Racing car in the mix as well. The Audi of United Autosport. Meantime, at the head of the field, the gap has gone out dramatically over the last few laps, with Matthias Beck banging in laps under 1 minute 33. He's the only car on the circuit who is still lapping under 93 seconds, 92.9 last time around, and 7.5 seconds is the lead. There's the battle for second, and Lemeray has got his mirrors full of Callaway Corvettes, Callaway Competition Corvettes. It's come down from just over a second, hovered around 8, 6, and now, well, it's 3 feet. Nicely paced drive by Christian Horner. Now he's got up to the back of the Team Rosberg Audi. Can he do anything about it? Last time around, almost half a second quicker than the Audi. Is Lemeray just pacing himself? Magnificent stuff. He's taken 0.8 of a second in the last 2 laps to be in this position to challenge for second place. Pit stops, or at least the window for pit stops, just over a minute away. Interesting, of course, how the tactics will play out. Now, a 34.2 for the leader that time around. That's the first time I've seen the Ford in the 34s, I think, since the start of the race. That is down in the Corvette. That is a full 2 seconds away from the Ford's quickest lap. So is he easing himself down, pacing himself to the pit stops? Well, he can't afford to ease back too much, because the pace of these two, now normally 2 cars battling, rather trips them up a bit. However, the pace has been picked up by Stefan Lemeray in the Audi. The first of the 2 cars we're looking at, the mainly yellow and silver car. And he's battling with the class of the field from this season. These are the drivers' champions behind him. Daniel Karlovitz will get into the car at the pit stop. Just looks like the Audi punches out of the slower corners a wee bit better. And there is the confirmation that we are ready to receive pit stoppers. This is where we need to keep our wits about us. Now, if you are further back down the field, like the Sandlock Phoenix Racing Audi team, you might grab your man in right away, put your second driver in, and that's what Pro Speed are doing. Very tight entrance to the pit lane. In comes Paul van Splunter, and he was right up there in 5th position. He'll give that up, of course. Out comes the seat. This is the leading car to have pitted. Marco Holzer, then, the Porsche Works driver, is being belted in. On board with the number 2 Aston Martin. Payard will come out, and he will be giving the car over to Thomas Ackery. In fact, he's already vacated the seat, and this is what a driver change looks like from the inside. The seat insert going in. Notice the seat is not moving in the Porsches. Would that we could see. The seat would be slid backwards and forwards. Tom Ackery jumping in. There is the 61 car with Holzer on board, heading out. That is the Sandlock Phoenix Racing Audi in. Now, you might think that that looks lazy, the driver not even doing up his own belts, but it's actually very difficult to do so. Lean down and tighten them up properly so you get them on. You might just see him give a little tug to the straps before he goes out. Now, here is the third place car coming into the pit lane. So Calvin's installed already. A check of the tyre pressures. Maybe just an air pressure adjustment there on the Michelin's on the back. Oh, those straps seem to take a long time to get done up there. Up with the window nets. So the 61 Pro Speed car with Marco Hulser was the first one in, and therefore is the leading car of the pit stoppers. Oh, well, that looks like a traffic jam on the motorway outside. It's not the most. I think there was a touch there. Yes, there has been a touch. We're hearing from the pit lane. There's been a touch there. That is the Sandlock Phoenix Racing Audi. Not the best bit of parking, really, is it? Again, the Michelin tyres being given a pressure check. Now, there is the 61 car, Marco Hulser of Pro Speed. They have been very good. They did this at the Algarve, came in for an early stop and actually stole the race by doing that. Almost stealthed into the pit lane and stole a march on everybody. Now, is that the 98 car stuck in behind the 11? Yes, it is. So this is all change. My goodness me, Milner Motorsport have pulled one around as well. With Gilles Vanelay and Raymond Nairac paired up. And that is very interesting because the car that was leading, the 98 Ford, seems to have got well down and behind at least one, possibly two Porsches. Yes, it has. There's the Corvette. BMW's had a decent pit stop as well. Now let's see how this all changes around as they come out of the pits, come round onto the pit straight this time. Still 5.5 minutes of the pit stop. So the 11 car of Raymond Nairac has had his pit stop, and he's come out of pit behind, stop behind. Get the merchandising going. Catch the mule. Right, through that time. The timing and scoring just resetting itself. And at the moment, still showing the Ford as the leader from 8 seconds behind Stefan Lemeray in second place. In third, Milner Motorsport with Armand Famal at the wheel now. That car not having stopped. So the leading cars, remember, yet to pull into the pit lane. Top 5 have not yet stopped, so they're really rolling the dice here and being caught up in traffic as Matthias Bech was and still is. This is not doing, really not doing him any good at all. Let's go down to the Callaway Racing pit. Haley is down there now.
Christian, you happy with your stint?
Yes, actually, yes, we are more than happy because, you know, sort of with accelerating and braking stuff, our car is not very good with all the balance. With 130 kilos more in the car, it's terrible, horrible, and for that I'm very confirmed with that.
And Reese, what a season you've had this year.
You know, I think we've just seen why this guy is a champion. Yeah, in a very heavy car in very difficult circumstances. And he pulled it off. You know, he really put us in the right position for the next half here.
Well, I wish you luck, guys. Thank you very much.
Well, success ballast is a part of the GT3 European Championship, and for being a winner at the last round, the 101 car takes 35 kilos, as does the 61 car. Marco Holzer and Paul van Splunteren. The Parisi Lambot 16 Graf Race